So let's look at 10 real fast.
Oh, you are sturdy.
Guys, hush. So for 10, most of you look like you were fine on the C. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So it's 13 squared, 4 squared plus 13 squared equals c squared. You end up with 13.6. Okay? Here's where people were having trouble with theta. So theta's equation is this. It's on the practice sheet. There's the equation for theta. Theta equals tan negative 1 of b over a. So tan negative 1 b over a. Stop.
That chair pretty sturdy.
Okay? So tan theta b over a. Then we plug in the numbers. So tan negative 1 of 13 over 4. Okay, 13 over 4 is 3.25. And when you do the tan negative 1 of that, so you plug it in, 3.25, tan negative 1, 72.89, so 72.9. Stop. So that gives you your answer for theta. Make sure you can do both. So what work do I need to see? I need to see the drawing. I need to see the setup of the equation. That's what I need at a minimum. So if you're one of those, I just plug things in the calculator peoples, I need to see the picture. I need to see that. Because from the picture, I can figure out what goes where. So if I see 4 squared plus 13 squared equals c squared, and I can see you wrote 4 in A and 13 in B, I know what equation you did. Okay, so I need the picture, setup, setup. You don't have to show all the other steps if you don't want, but that's what I need at minimum. Okay, so let's jump into number 8 now. Okay, let's jump into number 8. So how do we find vector components? So there's two ways I'm going to give this to you. I'm either going to give you A and B, or I'm going to give you C and theta. So it just depends on what I'm giving you and what the problem is. I'm either going to give you A and B, or I'm going to give you C and theta. So how do we find if I give you C and theta? So if I want to know the vector components. So if that's the case, we have C, we have theta. Solving for A, solving for B. There's two ways to do this. One of them is using sine. The other one is using cosine. So if you're trying to find A is going to be cosine. So cosine, cosine theta equals A over C. Guys, hush. I don't care. Be quiet. Okay. Cosine theta equals A over C. But I want to make it easier for you. We're always going to solve for A using cosine. So I'm going to multiply C to both sides, and here's your equation. A equals C times the cosine of theta. That's your equation. That's how you find A. Okay? Then B. Sine theta is what we're going to use for B. It's B over C. Again, I'm going to multiply C to both sides. B equals C times sine theta. That's your second equation. There's the equations. So let's look at an example of this. An airplane is flying with a resultant velocity of 80 meters per second at a 20-degree angle. What is the velocity of the airplane and the wind? So I'm giving you the resultant vector, 80, and I'm giving you the angle theta, which is 20. What you need to find is A, the forward motion of the airplane, and B, the crosswind. So to find A, we're going to use cosine. So A equals C, which is the resultant vector, so 80, times the cosine of theta. Theta is 20. So there's your cosine. So you do cosine of 20, 0.9396 stuff, times 80. Gives me A to be 75.2. So that's how fast the airplane is flying.
That's pretty fast.
Yep, not really.
Yeah, this airplane looks like it's about to fall off.
Yeah.
Or fall out of the sky. You know what I meant. Shh.
Oh, not me personally.
Was that you, Maddox? I honestly couldn't tell who it was.
No, I was in.
B.
Yeah, we killed that one so much.
All right. So solve for B is going to be sine. So it's C, which is still 80, times the sine of 20. So now I do the sine of 20 times 80, 27.4. I want y'all to try 11. I want you to see if you can do 11. Draw the picture, set up solving for A, set up solving for B. Number 11. So, airplane is ascending. Guys, hush. Ascending at 35 meters per, or 35 degrees, velocity of 200 meters per second. Find the component velocity, so A and B. So it's going up at an angle. The angle it's going at is 35 degrees. It has a value of 200. That's what C is. I want to know what A is. I want to know what B is. So, first thing we need to do. Hush! Stop talking while I am trying to explain things to people who are paying attention and listening. No, it's you too, Manny. Do not give me that point to other people. It's you too. Quiet so other people can figure out what's going on. You don't want to pay attention? Fine. But let other people hear what's going on. Okay, so first thing we need to do is find A or B. Let's start with A. A is C times cosine of theta. So C is 200 times the cosine of 35. Figure out what the cosine of 35 is first. It's 80.82. So we get 200 times 0.82. And that's what A will give you. So multiply them out. 163.8. B, you're going to do the same thing, but this time you use the sine equation. B goes with sine. So B equals 200 times the sine of 35. Figure out what the sine of 35 is. 0.5735. Multiply by 200. 114.7. Okay? That's what you get for 11. So here's what you guys need to do. You need to work on practice 1. The whole thing is due next time. So use your time to get started on it so I can check to make sure you guys are doing the right thing. I gave you a little bit of a hint this would be helpful to put on your paper. I divided the left 2 and the right 2. The reason is you will always use these two together and you will always use these two together. Okay? This is how you find C. This is how you find theta. This is how you find A. This is how you find B. Now, is it possible to do other things to find them? Yes. Once you have Pythagorean theorem, you can technically use any of these to find to find theta. Likewise, once you have A, you could use Pythagorean theorem to find B. So there's lots of ways to go about it. But this is the way that is going to be easiest for you. C to find Pythagorean theorem to find C, tangent to find theta, cosine to find A, sine to find B.